So, good evening and welcome to our Wednesday Creative Living series. We are so glad that you are here. We are very glad that you are here. And this space is where you are accepted just as you are. No judgments here, just presence, peace, and possibility. All things are possible if you believe. And if no one has told you lately, hear it now. You matter. You are important. You have a purpose. And we love you here. And your presence brings something good. And that is needed to us all. So thank you for being here. Sometimes when I'm reflecting on what to share on Wednesdays for our classes, I pause, I wait for something real to rise. A thought that feels alive, something that resonates deeply, or review some articles to prepare for the class. But this week, it happened just like that again. I was up pondering over some ideas when during our sharing time, Suni mentioned something about conversation with birds. It resonated deeply with me, and I immediately jotted it down and thought that this would be a good lesson, a good title for a lesson. Then, like a beautiful coincidence, Ray and Mary also talked about birds. That confirmed it for me. And I said I would work on this. At first, I thought it would be what birds might be saying. But as I thought over it, it evolved and it became more about the way birds live and what they teach us. So this week's lesson, I therefore titled The Bird's Conversation. And I thank you all for the inspiration that you share and that come out from our sharing time, our community time. So this lesson is about more than just nature. It's about learning to tune in again, to listen to life in all its forms. We're learning to tune in. And we know birds are messengers, they are musicians, they are teachers. The song is not just sound, it is communication, movement, awareness, and presence. The birds don't make sound, they sing. There's something about the melodies that they give. So long before clocks tick and alarms buzzed, the world turned to the natural order to mark time. And one of the most faithful messengers of a new dawn was the bird. At the break of dawn, sometimes even before the first rays of sunlight, birds begin to sing their song. Not because someone told them to, but because something in them knew it was time to rise. In villages and farming communities around the world, people once relied on these melodies to wake them, the melodies from the bird. The cockerel's crow was also simple, clear sign that a new day has started. These were not just animal habits, they were divine signals, part of divine life. The birds weren't just marking time, they were participating in a holy dialogue. They weren't just doing it because they liked to do it. They were just fulfilling purpose. Their song was a way of saying namaste, also a gentle reminder that life was giving us a fresh new start. In this teaching, we understand that all of life is interconnected and alive with divine intelligence. There is no such thing as a bird just singing. It is spirit expressing, wisdom flowing, and something in us is awakening, reminding us to come alive to the beauty and rhythm of life. Every chirp, call, or melody from a bird is an expression of spirit in motion. Think of it. A spiritual message carried on the wind, inviting us to awaken, align, and live with gratitude. The birds did what came naturally to them, and in doing so, they called humanity back to itself. That they're singing, the crow in the morning, to awaken to a new day, to a new beginning. Their song became an invitation to awaken to the moment, align with the morning, and trust the unfolding. That's what the birds properly is telling us. Isn't that what waking up spiritually means? When we awaken to the moment, and we know that we can start our day anytime, and the bird signaling us with that songs. It is noticing the quiet nudge to come back to who we are, not with stress, but in quietness. The birds weren't worried or in a hurry, they just responded to the power in them, to the light. And they remind us that we can do the same. You can do the same. When the birds sing, they are not only marking the start of a new day, but they are also declaring it is good to be here. It is good to begin again. Their song is a form of gratitude, a natural praise that rises effortlessly. And we can rise the same way with the heart open to the quiet gift of this moment, with the awareness that gratitude is not just a reaction, it's a cause. And when we do this, it lifts us, it opens doors, it aligns us with the good that is already unfolding. We are talking about birds' conversation, learning from the birds. So when you hear the birds tomorrow morning, let it be a spiritual alarm clock, not just to wake up your body physically, but to wake up your spirit, to wake you up, to remember this is a new day. It's a new, fresh day to create. This is a new chance. I can start all over again, and I am grateful to be here. What a beautiful message. So let's imagine the break of dawn as a sacred tuning fork struck by spirit. Its vibration hums through all of creation. The birds are the first to feel it. Long before we open our eyes, they have already sensed the shift in frequency and have begun to sing in harmony with the new day. You too are a divine instrument. I am a divine instrument. When you wake up in consciousness through prayer, meditation, stillness, or gratitude, you are responding to the same vibration. You are tuning your being to the divine frequency that's always broadcasting. So the bird starts it, and when we hear it, we join the vibration. Your thoughts, your words, and your presence carry energy. And when aligned, when in sync with the rhythm of spirit, they become part of a larger harmony that blesses not only your life, but all of life around you. We're learning things from the bird. You don't have to earn that frequency. You just respond to it. You just align yourself with that frequency, with that power, like the birds do. Because when that vibration, that frequency, they just align to it and they start singing. in the morning, announcing a new day, a new start, a chance to start all over again, a chance to declare the things that you want. It's like a new slate, a new board, and you can write the day, tell the day what you want. They are not singing to impress. They are singing because that's what they were made to do. And so are you. Rumi said, I want to sing like the birds sing, not worrying about who hears or what they think. And this is a spiritual challenge, to live authentically, to give your gifts without apology, to rise when Spirit calls you. And remember that your song matters, not because it's loud, but because it's real. So what's the invitation? What's the question? Where in your life have you silenced your morning song, waiting for everything to be just right? The challenge or the problem is that most times we wait for things to be all right, to be perfect, before we do what we want to do. But it happens the other way. When we begin to sing and align ourselves, then things would turn out well. Because Spirit will always order things and make it well. What will shift if you trusted your inner rhythm and responded in faith, not fear? What will happen if you wake up despite the pain, despite the challenge, despite the depth of the valley, and you begin to hum and be grateful for a new day? That will bring about the change. The morning song is already rising. Spirit is already moving. The tuning fork of Spirit has already been struck. And now it's your turn to sing, to rise, to trust, to walk forward in the rhythm of your becoming. It's your turn to wake up and rise, to wake up and sing, to wake up and declare what you want for the new day. Another amazing thing about the birds is their ability to find their way, no matter how far they travel. Some birds fly thousands of miles during immigration to still return to the same tree, same nest, or the same shoreline they left before. They don't use maps or GPS. They don't stop to ask for directions. Somehow they know. Somehow they know. And somehow you know. They are guided by something within, a built-in compass that leads them home. That same kind of compass lives in us, in you too. In this teaching, in our classes, we are taught that each of us has access to divine intelligence. It's an inner knowing that is always connected to the greater mind of the universe. You are one with that power, with that knowing. We are not separate from source. The guidance we seek doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. We often say, in it we live, we move, and we have our being. But unlike a loud voice or flashing sign, this inner compass doesn't shout. It whispers. It rises up when we get quiet enough to hear it. That inner nudge, that intuitive voice. But we have to be quiet enough to hear that. When we pause, when we breathe, when we let go of trying to figure everything out with just our heads, something deeper begins to speak. You hear that voice when you're quiet enough. And that something is divine. It's the voice of your soul when it's aligned with infinite wisdom. And that's when we say we know that we know. It's no blame. We've been trained to look outside ourselves for answers, for approval, for permission, for direction. That's the system we grew up in. From a young age, we are told what to do, how to behave, and what success looks like. So when we start walking a spiritual path that says you are already connected, it can feel unfamiliar. Sometimes even uncomfortable. We may doubt our intuition. We may worry we'll take the wrong path. But here is the truth that birds remind us. You already have what you need to find your way. It's built into you. And that's where practice comes in. As often as you practice aligning and tuning in and being calm, you would always hear that voice. The scripture confirms that Spirit has given us everything. God has given us everything we need for life and spirituality. Everything. It's in the package. It's in you. Like the bird who lifts off into the unknown sky, not knowing every detail, but trusting the direction encoded in its nature. You too are guided by something wise, something true, something higher, something powerful. So the journey of spiritual growth is not about adding something to yourself. No, there's nothing. You are complete. You're whole. You lack nothing. It's about uncovering what's always been there, which is awakening to the truth when we do this. And the truth is, you are already one with the mind that knows. You are already one with the mind that knows. Ernest Holmes said, there is power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. Again, our shortcoming, our challenge is that we probably do not know about this power. Even when we know about the power, we are not deploying that power for our own use. This power is not somewhere else. It's within you. It's what the birds are tuned into. It's what you are learning to hear more clearly. One of the most, again, extraordinary gifts from birds that they offer us is their natural ability to rise above. Whether it's a hawk flying high, an eagle gliding, a group of birds moving together, birds see the world from above in a way we on the ground can only imagine. Remember, we're talking about birds today. We're learning from the birds. From up in the sky, everything looks different. A forest doesn't look like a bunch of trees. It all fits together. The problems when you're on high, problems seem smaller because you're above. What felt confusing starts to make sense when you rise above, like the birds. Birds teach us that perspective matters. They remind us that when life feels tangled, when we are caught up in the drama or stress of the moment, the most powerful thing we can do is rise. I wish we remember when we're in a situation to speak to ourselves and tell ourselves, rise, I can rise. I'm rising above this situation. The birds are telling us that too. Not to escape, but to see more clearly. When you rise above a situation, you see better. We are reminded again and again that we are not limited to our current experience. We are more than our emotions, more than our history, more than the moment's chaos. You are more than that because you have the ability to rise above it. There's always a higher vantage point available. It's a spiritual perspective that lets us see life not from fear, but from faith. Because seeing it from faith, from connection, is seeing it as already done. Because that is the eyes of spirit. And from the point of the spirit, everything that you are looking for, it's already done in the mind of God. Not from confusion, but from connection. The bird doesn't flap around wildly when something blocks its path. It simply ascends. It lifts itself above the situation and surveys the land before deciding where to go next. Remember, the same spirit that's in the birds, in every living thing, is that same power that we are part of. And when the birds ascend, that's not just being smart, it's a view from connection. We are invited to do same. So when we are emotionally caught up, hurt, other-referred, anxious, or angry, it's easy to act from the small self. However, when we step back, even briefly, for a tiny moment, we give ourselves the opportunity to tap into the higher self, the divine mind within us that perceives from a place of peace and purpose. That's why sometimes when we are confronted with situations, it will be much better if we can calm down and think it through. From the ground, the problem seems huge, but from above, we begin to see options, possibilities, openings we didn't recognize before. And you tell yourself you can always rise above any situation. You can always ascend. You can always pause for a moment and come from that place of connection. Sometimes we also often live inside narrow stories. Stories like, they hurt me, I'm stuck, and nothing will ever change. However, from connection, after pausing, recall that these are not the whole truth. We are not just once suffering through a chapter. We are souls writing greater stories. That's just a chapter. And all we do is flip to the next page and start a new story about you. In this teaching, we practice spiritual elevation, not denying our feelings, but refusing to be ruled by them. The feelings are there, but they do not have control over you. We do this through meditation, affirmative prayer, silence, quietness, study, and sacred inquiry. We ask, what does this look like from the view of spirit? What will love say about this? If we can just have a moment when we're in a situation and ask, quiet ourselves, what will spirit have me do now in this situation? If I rise above my fear or judgment, what truth might I see? It only takes a moment to be calm. When we ask these questions, we are spiritually rising. We are shifting into alignment with divine mind. Then there is the eagle and the storm. We're still talking about the birds. When storm clouds gather, the normal thing is to seek shelter. But you know what the eagle does? The eagle flies above the storm. We talked about this before. It uses the pressure of the wind to lift itself higher. Instead of resisting the storm, it employs it to gain new altitude. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. Not avoiding difficulty, but using it as a force for rising. You are not your storm. You are the sky in which the storm passes. Another one about the birds. Birds don't compare their voices. They sing what is theirs to sing. Have you heard a mockingbird? a, a thrush, or a nightingale. They sing without apology, without comparison. They don't try to sound like the bird next door. They have their own sound and they sound uniquely. They don't try to copy. They just let their own song rise. And that's our call too. You were not created to echo someone else's life. You were born to be the clearest expression of your soul's sound. You don't compare. You are unique. You are powerful. In our classes, we affirm the uniqueness of each person, your gifts, your insights, your voice. It matters. There's something only you can bring into the world. There's something unique about you. There's something great about you. Many people get stuck looking sideways, trying to be like the other person, measuring themselves against others. But the deeper work is asking, what is mine to sing? What is my note in this life symphony? What is yours to sing? What is your role? What part do you play? Just like those birds, they sound differently, not trying to copy another person. The more we let our true self come forward, the more the world is blessed. And you being the most important person too. Also, birds aren't in constant motion. They perch, they pause. That's holy too. Birds don't fly all day. They perch on branches. They take breaks. They nest. They rest. And they do so without guilt or fear of falling behind. We live in a world that praises hustle and constant motion, trying to achieve, trying to outdo the next person. But the spiritual path honors balance. Rest is not laziness, it's alignment. It's part of the divine rhythm of life, a balance of activity and stillness. We are learning when to act and when to be still. There's some situations that just demand stillness. When to speak and when to listen. Learning to rest is a practice in trusting that everything, it's working out for my own good, for your own good. And just like the scripture says, Spirit leads me beside still waters, restores my soul. Stillness is sacred. It's where restoration occurs. Birds also don't carry what they don't need. What could you let go of? If you want to rise, you can't rise heavy laden. You won't be able to rise. Birds don't fly with baggage. They don't gather what they can't carry. They move freely because they carry only what is essential. And we are invited to do the same thing. How much are we weighed down by things, grudges, stories, he said, she said, expectations, fears that don't serve our journey? Sometimes the weights are too heavy. It makes it difficult for us to rise. Sometimes you're so heavy laden with so much that even to get up from the bed is very difficult. The spiritual path is not just about gaining insight, it's about releasing what no longer aligns. It's easy to accumulate emotional and spiritual clutter, but to live freely, we ask, what am I still carrying that I no longer need? Again, these are questions that we can write down and begin to write down and question ourselves. What can I release so I can rise higher? What can you release? What can you let go? Letting go is not loss. It's actually liberation. It's trusting that when your hands are empty, they are open to receive something new. Have you tried receiving something with something in your hand? You're expecting, you're stretching your hands, but you have so much on it. You're not able to receive more. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns. And yet, it's a spirit, a heavenly Father, feeds them. This beautiful verse is not just about provision, it's about trust. It invites us to witness how birds live without worry, without fear of lack. They trust that what they need is provided. And we can live our lives this way. We live in a universe of abundance, not lack. That life is for us, not against us. That we are held, we are guided, we are supported by a power greater than our fear. It's a different thing when we begin to know that life is for us, that no one is against us. No one, nothing. We don't have to micromanage every detail of our lives. We can practice spiritual surrender. Not giving up, but giving over our need to control everything and allowing the infinite to work through us. So maybe tonight the birds aren't just speaking to each other. Maybe their conversation has always been meant for more than just the wind and the trees. Maybe in their song and their silence, in their flight and their stillness, the birds have been speaking to you, been speaking to me. Their messages aren't loud. They don't come with explanations or step-by-step instructions, but they come softly, faithfully, in rhythm with something eternal. Perhaps their morning songs are a call to listen more deeply, not just to the world around you, but to the truth within. To pause long enough to hear the quiet pulse of your own soul, the whisper of spirit rising through you. Maybe that's what the birds are the messages are sending to us. Maybe their effortless rise into the sky is an invitation to rise when it's time. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to see the entire sky before you open your wings. Just like the birds, you were made to rise. Maybe that situation has held you down for a long time, and you're crying, and you're wondering how to get out of it. All you need to do is open your wings and just step out in faith. Maybe their stillness, their patient return to the nest reminds you to rest when you need it. There's no shame in stillness. There is healing in pauses. Birds don't question their needs to stop. And you too, you don't have to question your need to stop. And perhaps most beautiful of all, the birds remind you to trust your inner compass. They don't carry maps. They don't always see the destination, but they move faithfully, instinctively, trusting the air beneath their wings, trusting the pull toward home. And so can you. You don't have to have every answer. You don't have to fly perfectly. You only need to listen, to move when your soul says move, to sing your song without fear, to trust the guidance that already lives inside you. And you know what? The birds are still singing. The sky is still open. And your soul is still listening. Maybe this conversation is just beginning. So as we end this, remember this: you are not alone or forgotten. You are part of something greater, bigger, a living flow of life. That same spirit that guides the birds is in you. You are made to rise, to trust, and to fly. I am made to rise, to trust, and to fly. Tell that to yourself. I am made to rise, to trust, and to fly. So take a deep breath, look up, and know you already have what you need. You are complete, you are whole, you lack nothing. Speak into being what you want. Create your life. Declutter. You were born for this. You can do this. You can rise above the situation. And so it is.